Morning, everybody. New audio test time. I've got my AirPods. I think they're pros. I don't know. They're old. But I thought I would give these a try since I'm using something that is not the actual in-phone video recorder. It's weird because the thing that comes with the iPhone, you can record on it, but you can't use external mics on it. You can't even use these Apple AirPods to record on. You have to buy a secondary, or at least download a different video recording app like this one to use Bluetooth or external microphones, period. It's wild. I don't know why it's that way, but it is. It's such a strange thing. So this has been an interesting week already. Couple of things. First, the eclipse yesterday. Boy, that was a natural phenomenon, wasn't it? Very, very cool. Our neighbor had extra glasses. So while I was out washing both cars yesterday, about 3:10, we got a total eclipse, and it was really cool to watch. The halo around the moon, well, that was really cool to see, and then watching it come in and come out, that was awesome. So I think we were fairly close to the middle of everything. And apparently, traffic was absolutely insane, which makes sense. People are crazy. So that happened yesterday. We had an eclipse, and our neighbor had a radio station on, and it was absolutely hilarious because the radio station during the eclipse had every sun-themed 80s, 90s, early 2000s rock song on at the same time. Total Eclipse of the Heart, Walking on the Sun, for crying out loud. Several others. Burning Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, for crying out loud. They had that going. So 70s or 60s, I guess, at that point. They're ready. They're ready for anything at those radio stations. At a moment's notice, they've got a playlist. They've got a playlist for a moon landing. They've got a playlist for an eclipse. They've got a playlist for a train wreck. They've got a lot of different playlists ready to go for any event that might be happening. 4th of July, though, somehow it's always God Bless the USA, and that is such a grating song. It just drives me insane. Take it from somebody who spent 10 years behind a board every 4th of July for somebody's, usually Dublin's, fireworks festival around the 4th of July. It's always all those patriotic songs, and it's like, it needs to be more rock. Why does it have to be patriotic songs? We're already being patriotic. Why can't we do some AC/DC and some Metallica and some Godsmack even? I mean, for crying out loud, something other than these bland, they're just bland. I can't do it. It's just somebody who's jaded, who's had to listen to it for 10 years every that time of year. So we'll leave it at that. I'm sure everybody stands up and salutes at Lee Greenwood, but whatever. It's trash. It's trash. Anyhow, so that happened. And then the Kickstarter for RiffTrax ended last night, and they got way above their goal once again. I think they had 360,000 that they wanted, and they got around, at least, when the last time I checked, it was around 600. It could have been more by the end, but I think that was the last time I checked in. They met some stretch goals, so congratulations to them. They're awesome. I will support them every time. It's going to be in Minnesota rather than in Nashville this year. So it's going to be a great show, and I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see it. I think we're going to be able to get to go to see it live in Minneapolis, which is amazing. So I'm very excited to do that. I'm very excited I get to write a riff again this year. This will be the 3rd year in a row, because it was the Return of Swamp Thing, and then Rad last year, which was the BMX movie. And then this year it's Point Break. So I'm going to find the video on Amazon, and if I have to buy it for $4, I'll buy it for $4. Who shouldn't own a copy of Point Break? I don't know. It's a fun movie. So it's a good movie, which is why it's wonderful to see them riffing it, because the release this week on the website is it called The Amazing Bulk? the Incredible Bulk, something like that. It is the most, I don't know how they sat through it. I really don't. It is terrible. And the acting's not even that bad. I mean, the big baddie or the bad guy is a little too much for me. But, and then that general, oh my God, just because they're trying to be the Incredible Hulk, but you should see the trailer. Go on RiffTrax.com and watch the trailer for the Amazing Bulk, and it's just awful. And I say the acting's not bad. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I can't. It is just, it is really bad. But go on the website and take a listen. And then the third thing that happened, hooray! I got a little gravy boat. Apparently these are called chahi. They are for tea distribution, and there are tons of them on Amazon, and they are of varying degrees of weight and size and ability to pour. And I did a little video on Friday about my search, and there are some of these that are like it's like got like 2 reviews. One of them's 5 stars, the other one's like 1 star, and the 1 star said you can't even pour the beans out of the thing because the little exit point here is too narrow. So, but anyway, so we got one, and we're gonna be fancy. We're gonna be fancy today with our Guatemala as we put it through our clever. Very rarely do I get to be clever, and most of the time it's artificial like this. So let's see what we can do here. We want 21 grams. Can this thing hold 21 grams? That's a good start. Ooh, yeah, 24. That's pretty good. And will it pour out? Ooh, it pours out really nicely. I'm already loving it. I am already loving. That's my fault. I made the opening too small. I'm already loving this device. That's great. So what this is doing for me, and it would be really hard to describe if I wasn't able to illustrate it in this manner. So what this does is it takes this out of the equation. I was using this from the Encore in order to weigh my beans, which in and of itself is fine. But once you get to the point where static is kind of a pain in the butt, and you want to use a little spritz of water to wet your beans, and then you kind of put your hand over it and you shake it around a little bit to get a little water on every bean, and that will take away a lot of your static. And then you just, that's cool. No, I mean, other than the wetness, I mean, that makes sense. That's going to happen. I guess you really didn't see. There were some beans that got stuck there because it's wet, but that's going to happen because it's wet. What are you going to do? So this thing has already performed at my expectations, which, you know what, is great. I'm all about at my expectations. We're going to turn this on. Our water's already hot. Let's see what happens. I got everything out of there. Look at that. No chaff on the sides, no static. It is absolutely as it should be. So that's pretty cool. This is awesome. It's just a simple little thing. I believe this only was like $8. Someone also suggested something from Comandante, and it's another thing. It looks like it's almost 3D printed. It's like a honeycomb shape with like a tapered end like this that you could pour everything out of. And I was looking at, I went to look at it, and I'm like, well, it's a Comandante, and those things, what they sell is generally fairly expensive. There's a grinder. They have a hand grinder that is an exuberant amount of money, and for a hand grinder. And so I don't, I didn't have high hopes that I would be able to afford it. And lo and behold, it was only like $2. $3, something like that, something very, very small. So that was kind of cool. So, if we get to a point, we may just give that a try. We'll see what happens. All right, so I put 21 grams in there. So we'll put I'm going to do about 350 grams of water here. We don't need to really bloom it because it's going to sit in its own juices here. So let's get her up to about 350 here. There we go. Perfect. I may have some fun stuff coming at the end of the week. It depends on what Bones Coffee does. A friend of mine has never tasted coffee, so I need to figure out a way to get him over here and do a reaction of good coffee that's just coffee. And then this thing from Bones Coffee that I got, because he's really into the theme that the Bones Coffee has going on right now. It's Fallout themed. The Amazon's doing a Fallout TV series, which hopefully will be pretty good. It does have a female lead, so I assume everybody's going to shit on it because people are awful. I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Go watch Miss Marvel on Disney Plus if you get a chance to. It's absolutely fantastic. You will fall in love with that family. And the underlying story that gets them to where they are is beautiful. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend you go and watch Miss Marvel. Okay, so that's been 2 minutes. I am just enamored. There were white ones that did look like the gravy boats, and then I'm like, you know what, I could do that, or I could just find something that's got a pretty pattern in it that's probably just as full of cancer. So I decided to pick this one, and I like the fact that there's a little ring at the bottom. I didn't know how it was going to sit. Some of them don't have rings. Some of them are actually magnetic. Some of them are $80. Some of them are made from 1,000-year-old bonsai trees, apparently. I thought to myself it would be really fun to go out in the back of Mom and Dad's house because they live in the middle of Wayne National Forest in southeastern Ohio. So they're surrounded by so many different types of trees, and maybe find an old ash tree that's fallen and gotten eaten up by all those ash borers and hack off a piece of it and try to make something like this out of it, whittle it down, give it a nice coat of something to make it slippery. I don't know. I'm not a woodworker, but I would certainly try that as a first thing, a coffee deployer. Those things go for a lot on Etsy. I mean, and they just look like half of a bamboo shoot that kind of tapers off at the end. And they want like $30 for it. And it's like, why? Why? No, thank you. All right. We're coffeeing it up now. Do we want to do it this way? Sure. We're going in deep. This audio is going to suck, isn't it? I just know it is. We'll roll with it. I'll try to edit it in post and make it sound better, but I just know it's going to sound better. I don't know how. There's so much processing these days because I'll watch people do interviews with these things in their ears and they're using them as microphones, and the interviews sound fine, but there's just so much processing they put forth on every aspect of what's going out. So it's like, can't really trust your ears. And scene. Smells great. This is the Guatemalan from Island Roasters. We're still doing these. We're going to be doing these until we can't anymore. Oh, such an interestingly sweet coffee. It's so fun. It just hits you in the right place. And you're supposed to smell it really deep, and then it's actually the only way that Matt got the coffee down when we were down in Colombia, because everybody got a little cup of coffee. It's a tiny little thing. And he's like, breathe in it deep, sniff it really hard. And then immediately take a sip. And it will take away a lot of the bitterness of the coffee. And it worked, because he said it was less bitter, but it still tasted like burnt sticks, and I don't like it. So good for him. I'm so happy that he had a good time. Apparently there's some issues going on down there right now, and he's kind of upset. And it's really awful. It is really awful. The news that we found out that became an issue. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. The main thing is prostitution is legal in Medellin and Colombia. So it is legal. The thing was, a person was caught in a hotel room with two underage people. And it was a foreigner. It was not a person from Colombia. It was from someone outside of Colombia. So what happened? The mayor of the city declared that for 1 week, bars could only be open until 1 a.m. And bars are usually open until 5 or even 6 in the morning down there. But they were only allowed to be open until 1 for a week. And then for 6 months in the area that this horrible thing happened, prostitution was made illegal for 6 months. And apparently, because of what happened, people were chasing foreigners, anyone that did not look Colombian or maybe even from Medellin itself. They were chasing them and threatening them. And Matt got that news and got very upset, because now he doesn't know if he wants to go back down there or not, but he really does want to go back down there. And I want to go with him, of course. But he doesn't know, because he's very frightened. It's very scary. I mean, the looks that you get anyway for being a foreigner down there is one thing, and that's enough to maybe turn some people off. The idea that you could be at any point just randomly attacked because you're a foreigner is, quite frankly, something we're facing in this country right now, isn't it? The rhetoric has changed from illegal immigrants to just immigrants. The terrible people that want to be in charge are saying that they want to round up immigrants and have them out of the country. And they're not even saying illegal anymore. They're not even bothering with the illegal part. They're saying immigrants. And look at any conservative news show right now and you'll hear immigrant. You won't hear illegal immigrant. If you do, it's because it's in the teleprompter they're reading. When they're off the prompter, it's just immigrants now. So that's scary. But, he's worried. And he has every right to be. And he should be. But we're not going back this year. We're going back next year. And I would say by the time that passes, it'll be out of the majority of folks' heads. And I think that we have enough information on the 4 days that we were down there, where we should be and where we shouldn't be and where we don't want to be, that we can probably navigate ourselves through another 4-day stay fairly easily. But, he was upset, and he very, very much should be, because it was an incredibly terrible situation. And it's unfortunate, because it just feels like it's performative, no prostitution for 6 months. It's just performative, because it doesn't make much sense, because it's legal between adults. What happened as far as we know, didn't come from a bar. It was just one of those terrible things, I don't know. It's awful. But I'm sure we'll go back. It's just right now at this point, as he is sometimes, he's just apprehensive, but then he's conflicted, because he's very upset about the fact that he really wants to go back and see our friends, Jose and Daniel. You know, he really wants to go back and visit them because they're great people. They're wonderful people. It'll get figured out. It's just that that's just a horrible thing that happened down there. And to be quite honest, if it was a foreign individual that did that, I don't blame people for being angry at, you know, you should have seen how they reacted to the person that stole my phone in the metro. You should have seen it. It was like, do you have no pride in your country? And they beat him and they threw him out of that train car. And then that woman, I hope it was her stop, but she chased after him, just screaming obscenities in Spanish at him. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I went a little long today, didn't I? Woo, so one of these earbuds didn't go beep, 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 done. And I know that the GoPro would have gone nuts by now and shut down at least 6 times and been in the freezer 3. So, but thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You're all wonderful. We're now at 707 subscribers, which is my favorite Aston Martin, by the way, the 707 DBX. It's the SUV. I love that thing. 707 horsepower. It's my dream SUV. I want to get it in the same color and spec as my GTS, and then thank my GTS for its service and hope that the next person treats it as well as I do. And then I want an Aston Martin because they're so cool. They're beautiful vehicles. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. It is awesome. I am very grateful to all of you, and I hope that you have a great day. Tomorrow, we will do the maca pot because today I was going to do the maca pot, but then I got my little chahi here, and I wanted to show it off and use it properly, and it performed perfectly. I'm excited to add it to my rotation, and it will get me to spray my beans too, because just doing it in here, sometimes I would forget to spray the beans, and then spraying the beans in here, it would just get so caked when it was done and over with because it was wet. Because you'd spray in here and then everything's already wet. And then you would pour it in here and then it would get down here in the wetness. With this, the only slight wetness will be from the sprayed beans that are coming down. And since there's no static, they don't stick, which is really nice. So I'm very excited. $8 on Amazon. Very grateful for the person that suggested it and told me what the name was. We will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.